Welcome to the Green Light Pod. I'm Chris Long, your host, and I just realized that the fifth team in my five-team college basketball Sunday parlay is probably going to sink the whole thing. NC State getting the brakes beat off them by BC in the first half. I had Iowa and the 5 points. I had UConn money line. Who else did I have money line? I had let's see here, Villanova money line. That started slow, but they absolutely they finished strong. I also had Michigan money line and UConn as well, if I didn't mention them. But it's all for naught. Just like last weekend when Clemson blew it against Notre Dame in the fifth leg of my five-team parlay. NC State's about to do the same. So thank you, NC State, for costing my family money and also for beating us my senior year and keeping us from being a 10-win team. I don't hold on to that stuff. I also had a good weekend, though, because Virginia won down in Chapel Hill last night, won money on that game, and obviously that was a huge win for my Virginia Cavaliers. What a ballsy shot to finish the game. I'm going to get good at saying this guy's name by the end of the season. Walden Tensai. Did I get that right? Cowboy Reed? Walden Tensai. He needs a nickname. Waldy, something like that. Kihei Clark, baseline, all the way underneath, creates a shot for Walden Tensai, Waldy. And he pumps. He has the wherewithal to know that there's a couple seconds left. He's got time, kind of fading to his right. Knocks down a big three, down one, down in Chapel Hill, and really a must-win game for Virginia hoops. They had him projected to be like an 11 seed before the game in Chapel Hill last night. That was a big win. They're all going to be big wins right now in the ACC where Virginia's at, but they're improving. And people on TV were talking about this, and so I apologize for some of my non-Virginia fan listeners, but I'm going to be a homer for a second. They did say on TV that either team, and that would be UNC and Virginia. Virginia's a lot more likely to get into the tournament right now. UNC's got a lot of heartbreaking late losses, especially lately with the Duke loss, the way they lost that game, and then the Virginia game last night. Either team, if they were in the dance, would give teams problems. And I'm drinking the unlikely deep run Kool-Aid with this Virginia team. I think we'd win 2 games. I think we win 2 games in the tourney, even at 11. So college basketball weekend been pretty good to me. On a bit of a heater. Had the Albany under also. So it's been a good weekend. There was XFL today. My parlay. Did LA end up winning that game? LA lost. So I almost hit on a 4-team parlay, but that was just something I gave out at Bet America. So you know what? It's funny, during the football season, I almost felt like a slave to betting NFL. It was like I just had to fire on every game. Having the space and there be like a full slate of games in college hoops every night, you don't feel the pressure to bet everything. You just pick your spots. And then if you want to bet football, you get this XFL thing. But right now, it's a crapshoot, as I mentioned last week. Vegas didn't even know what to make of it, and I think it's going to take like a month for them to know what the fuck's going on in that league. Today, I do have Anthony Johnson, the landlord, as they're calling him in the XFL, one of my former teammates. He's going to be joining us on the Green Light Hotline. I'm just going to call it that. I don't know if we have a name for it, but I'm going to go with Green Light Hotline. I don't think anybody else's phone interviews are... I don't think anybody else uses the word hotline, so we should be good on that. It's a lot like Mailbag. It's a Green Light original. Green Light Hotline. Anthony Johnson will be joining us on the hotline to talk about his trade from LA to DC. Had a big day yesterday, 1.5 sacks. He's also going to talk about the quick turnaround, going coast to coast and being ready to play right away in that big DC win. They beat the brakes off the New York team. The what the fuck is the name of the New York team up there? The Guardians. The Guardians. The Defenders beat the brakes off the Guardians, and Anthony Johnson is going to be a force for them. They have a pretty good defense. I'll ask him about that. He was also in the AAF, which to me is it's interesting to hear from guys that were in that league why they think the XFL is going to work and why the AAF didn't work. He also played 4 years in the league. I played with him in New England. He didn't make the roster there, but man, he was on the bubble, and that was a pretty good defense we had. He was kind of a tweener, if anything, and that was his problem. This is a guy that's played, inside, outside. He's fluctuated in weight. He's done really whatever coaches have asked him to do. He's a great teammate, very explosive player. We called him Freak Kimbo, after Kimbo Slice. And Anthony was a great teammate, great player. No surprise that he's going to be one of the stars in the XFL. So very happy for him. Great to have him join us. And then also, of course, today in sports, in athletics, we also have a big NASCAR race, the Daytona 500. Heard of it? I have. And I'm going to learn more about it because my brother, Kyle Long, just retired. One of his big hobbies the past few years has been NASCAR. Along with golf. He's a terrific golfer. My brother picks up golf just like all the other sports he plays. Just picks up a stick. Here I go, stick. Picks up a golf stick. That's the second fucking time I've done that, which goes to show you I don't belong anywhere near a golf course. He picks up a club, and he just hits it far and straight and looks smooth doing it. When he played baseball in high school, he's like Ken Griffey Jr. I don't know who the lefty golfer is, but he looks like one of these long drive guys with an actual Phil Mickelson. He's a lefty. Phil Mickelson. He looks like a big jacked Phil Mickelson. Same calves. I know they say Phil Mickelson's got those calf implants. Kyle's aren't implants. I know they're not implants, Phil. In case you're listening. But Kyle can hit it far and he can hit it straight. But he loves NASCAR. He does iRacing. Actually, he's a part owner of an iRacing team. He just was out in the desert, riding along with some Red Bull guys that were driving these trucks through the desert, jumping over big hills and shit, breathing in sand and driving really fast, out in Nevada. And so Kyle's into that. He's going to explain what's going on with Daytona, and he's going to explain, his affinity for NASCAR to a total layman. Although I have been to one race. And the funniest thing about these races, I went down to Martinsville with some buddies. First off, a lot of flags that I didn't enjoy seeing at these at that event. I would have thought there was a very popular car with that flag that we all know, one of the stars and bars, as they call it. That was not a great feeling to see all those flags. But the product on the track there, product's pretty decent. Now, I wouldn't sit in the stands and watch it. I was very lucky. I had like a hookup. I knew one of the pit crew people, and they had me down in the middle, like on, you would call it field level, track level. And I got to watch the cars whip around in real time, and that was pretty damn cool. It was exciting. And you know what I found out was, like, a lot of those former football players work in pit crews. So, I was running into a couple guys that I played against, and I had no idea they were in NASCAR now, and they're the guys, putting the tires on and making sure. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, so I couldn't even tell you what they were doing. But it's a very physical sport in that sense. I'll ask Kyle, if he thinks NASCAR drivers are athletes. I think the pit crew for sure are athletes. Another thing it was funny when you get in the stands, and I tried to be in the stands for a little bit. Everybody's got these radios on, like they're doing podcasts, like whole families, like little son, little daughter, mom, dad, all sitting there. They all have, like, the Kevin Harvick t-shirts on. They all root for kind of the same car. Entire families do. They got their radios. They know exactly what's going on. But every lap looks the same. And I'm having trouble sitting in the stands and watching it. But it's conceptually very exciting to me. These guys are total daredevils and psychos to be in these cars going this fast. I mean, it is. I'm watching a rerun right now of the Daytona 500 last year. It's insane. It's insane. I just don't know if I can watch it for 3 hours. Kyle will try to sell me on that, so we'll have Kyle on. So tomorrow I'm headed to Tanzania, and I hate packing, especially packing for an international trip. But nonetheless, I'm excited to go because it's always nice going over there to see where we do our work. Waterboys.org. That's a clean water charity. And I am taking a group over to start this safari program. You know, we've been doing Conquering Kili, which is, you know, bringing veterans, combat veterans and NFL players over to climb Mount Kilimanjaro for, you know, I've done it 4 times now. So we've been going 4 or 5 years with that. I started that with my buddy Nate Boyer, Green Beret, Texas Longhorn football player, Seattle Seahawks. And we started Conquering Kili to bring athletes, veterans, and NFL football players, MMA fighters, whoever, over and give them a reason to go over and see the projects we do. And of course, the result is always that everybody's hooked. You know, when you get over there, you go over for the climb. It's one of the hardest things you do, but when you leave, you fall in love with the projects, like the water projects that we do, the people that we meet, the difference we're able to make. So I'm really excited to start a safari program because, truth be told, not everybody that goes over to climb that mountain really has what it takes to climb a 20,000-foot mountain, but they power through. A lot of these NFL players, they might look and say, it's the world's highest walkable mountain. This is going to be a walk in the park. I got there with Rob Ninkovich last year, and we're in our tent the first night, and we're at like 8,500 feet the first night. And it's like a jungle at this point, but really, you don't worry about big animals. I mean, I suppose every once in a blue moon, you might see a larger animal like a lion or something, or a wildebeest or something like that. A hyena might wander in. But, you know, if you ask the guides, they never do. But the whole night, I'd hear like a light click on, like a flashlight. Hey, I think I heard a lion. Hey. I was like, could a hyena rip into our tent? Like, I'm like, Rob, shut the fuck up. I'm trying to sleep. And no. And then in the morning at breakfast, he's like, so I guess I should have shared this with you, but I never slept outside before. So that was interesting. And then you get guys that like some guys I've climbed with, they'll get down after summit and we get down to like camp at 15,000 feet. You know, summit's like almost 20 and you get down to 15 and everybody's like, glad that's over because summit night's miserable. And guys are like ready to fight. They're so mad. They're like, you didn't tell me it's this fucking hard. I'm like, I tried to tell you as explicitly as possible. This is really hard. So moral of the story, not everybody is jazzed to climb a big mountain. That's fine. I'll be back on the mountain next year. I'm going to take this year off climbing to get this cushy safari program off the ground. I'm going to take guys out into the bush to see all types of big ass animals. Hopefully, I hate to sound insensitive, but killing each other and doing cool shit and, you know, doing things that nature does. And also like having little baby animals. And, you know, it's not all about the predation, guys. I'm not bloodthirsty, but, you know, I would like to see a lion take some shit down, you know? I'd like to see a lion, Von Miller, can't be like a flamingo. I want to see like a lion take a big animal down. But, you know, the problem is if you're rooting for the lion to take a big animal down, like, you know, there's fan favorites like giraffes. Nobody wants to see that. The animal that everybody doesn't mind a lion taking down is like a wildebeest because there's so many of them. By the way, they're really dangerous. They kill a bunch of people over there. But I don't think anybody minds when a lion takes one of those things down. It's kind of nondescript. It looks like animals we have over here a little bit. Hot take. Nobody really gives a fuck about wildebeests. Lions, however, hippos, even though hippos are really dangerous. Hippos are everybody makes hippos out to be these big cuddly animals. They will kill your ass. I want to see a lion take something down this time. So I hate to sound bloodthirsty, but I was texting William Hayes, who's going on the trip. Whitney Merciless also going on the trip. Myles Garrett, Ben Garland, Greg Bell, Chris Draft. They're going on the safari side of it. I was texting William. We definitely want to see something get eaten. And that's going to be an interesting trip because Myles Garrett loves dinosaurs. William Hayes does not believe in dinosaurs. Something's got to give. and I look forward to getting all those guys on green light in some capacity. I'm bringing my little remote pod set, which is very intimidating, fits in a backpack. I think good luck getting through, Tanzanian customs. They're going to be like, what the fuck is this thing? It's this, elaborate, I don't know, microphone, wire, little docking system. So if I can work the technology, you will have a multitude of pod-like, I don't know what to call them, interviews or whatever. I'm gonna be interviewing people in the bush. It's gonna be cool. So stay tuned for that stuff. I'm gonna be out of town. There'll be no me and Macon here in the studio, but we're gonna have a lot of audio stuff. So pop on over to Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If you're a YouTube user solely, to check out what we got going on this coming week. It'll be a fun trip. We're going to make a big difference. We're going to raise a bunch of money for clean water. Love this trip every year. Hate traveling. I hate long flights. 2 weekends in a row, your boy has been struggling. Had food poisoning last week. Had back spasms this weekend. Those are going to be interesting on a flight. Hopefully I'm going to be feeling A-okay coming off this trip. I don't get sick or anything like that. So yeah, looking forward to be back in studio, but check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. So without further ado, we've got my former teammate, Anthony Johnson, XFL star, joining us on the line. Welcoming now to the Green Light Pod. This is a great teammate of mine. We spent a couple months in New England, and quite frankly, I think he should be on an NFL roster, and the country's seeing why. XFL star Anthony Johnson.
Yeah.
How you doing, man?
Yes, sir. I'm slow motion, big brother. You know I can't complain, man. Not trying to step on nobody's toes, man.
No, you're the man, dude. All you're doing out there is making plays, and you had a second half yesterday in your debut in DC. They ship you across the country. You show up, you put on the new uniform, you ball out. Obviously, now before I ask you about obviously the LA trade, which sent you to DC, I want to ask you about the most important thing here, which is your nickname. You have so many. I knew you as Freak or Kimbo, and now I'm hearing you're the landlord.
Yeah, man. So when the league actually first got started up, I was a part of the Los Angeles team out there in LA, and kind of made a statement, man. Wanted to make some statements, and the XFL was feeling that. So came up with the landlord slogan, and been running with it ever since, man. It's been going well. So. Had to let the New York Guardians know yesterday that rent was due. So we pitched the first shutout in XFL history. So man,
I love it.
Time.
Hey, well, yeah, I don't want to be the guy when the rent's due and see you at my door. Okay. So I first off, I'm really enjoying the league, man. It does look a lot of fun, but obviously the first week was a little bit turbulent. You lose your coach, Pepper Johnson, who was with you. I just learned in Memphis in the AAF, because you played in the AAF. You've also played in the CFL. He wasn't there with you there, but he was with you in the league as well one year, maybe, in the NFL?
Yes, sir. Yep, he was with me for a year in 2017 with the New York Jets. So, yeah, man, me and Pep have a lot of history. Great defensive mind, great coach. He one of the coaches that honestly made the move for me to go from defensive line to linebacker because he believed in me. So, like I said, man, just thankful to play and learn under Pepper Johnson.
And so his firing, that was the spark that made you want to be on the move. I saw on Twitter you said I'm a free agent.
Just a little bit, man. Coach Pep, like I say, man, I appreciate the Los Angeles organization, but Pep pretty much was the guy that brought me in and drafted me, man. And after I wasn't a fan of what happened after that, so handled it as a professional, man. And like I said, I got my coach's back just like he has mine, and when he made some things shake. But yeah, man, wasn't too happy.
Well, you had a history with him, and also you mentioned, changing positions a bunch. You have weighed like 330 pounds before. What's the heaviest you've ever been, man?
The heaviest I've ever been, bro, is 340 pounds. I was playing for the Miami Dolphins at the time, actually. It was back in 2015. I was playing nose guard next to big Jared Aldrich. And I was the 340-pound guy coming off that pill. So, yeah, man, about 2015, about 5 years ago.
Which is crazy. Okay, so you get to LSU out of high school. You're what, a nose tackle?
I was a three tech. I was actually 283 pounds, yeah.
And then you balloon up when you get in the league because they want you to be heavy. You get to 340 in Miami. And then when I play with you, and by the way, Anthony played 4 years in the league and with a few really good teams. And one was the Patriots team that I was on in 16. And when you got to New England in 16, you were like a 275-pound guy, right?
Yes, sir. 275
So you
pounds.
You lost 60, 70 pounds in a year.
I had to. It was. I know people looking like, "What the hell did you do?" But yeah, man, I had to change my life a little bit and lost that weight, and it showed. It proved helped me, man. Belichick believed in me and got on that field with you, dog.
Yeah, that was fun, man. We had a lot of fun, and you were one of the most explosive guys off the ball. That first step. What do you bring into the XFL? Like, what's your if I don't know Anthony Johnson and I'm turning on the tape, what should people know about you? What's your strength?
Physical. Yeah. That's the one thing I think everybody would always see when they turn on the tape. He's always physical. And honestly, now that I'm playing the backup position, I think a lot of people can get to see what type of football mind I have, my IQ. So, yeah, man, I think that'll be the first thing you'll see is the physicality of me.
Will I see you rushing inside at all, like the old days?
Man, I told them to move me around, man, but they told me they need me burning that edge, you know. So I told Coach Pepan, whenever you need me to clear the nose, I'll get down there in the 3-point. But he told me he's perfectly fine with me rushing the edge, and I don't got no problem, man.
Well, you know, you can play up and down the line, and the versatility is one of your great strengths. What was the reception in D.C.? I mean, you rolled up, like 24 hours before the game?
Bro, so I'm gonna give you the story, man. I literally left Los Angeles at 4:30. Landed in D.C. At about 2 in the morning. Literally didn't get to bed until like 3:40 because I had to drive from Washington Dulles to Maryland. So I literally woke up so I went to bed at 3:45 last night and woke up at 7 yesterday in the morning to play
the day of the game.
The day of the game, man, to go learn some plays and play in the game. So
7 a.m. you wake up, you're probably tired as fuck. Okay, right.
Yeah.
So then what? You got a team meal, and what time was the game? This was the early game in the afternoon.
No, early game. So I kid you not. Woke up at 7:30. I had to go meet a coach at about 8. Went over the playbook. I had a team meal at about 10. The game started at 2 Eastern time. So yeah, bro, we were. I was pretty much a red eye the whole day. I literally got no rest yesterday at all.
Did you party after the game?
Man, I had to. What was going to fit in after that?
That's what I'm talking about.
I had to go let the streets know the landlord was after.
The landlord was in the streets. The landlord was. I would have been right there with you, buddy. So who am I watching for on this DC team? If I'm, because there's a lot of unheralded stars that deserve recognition across the XFL.
A lot.
You're looking at the DC defense, and you guys are making a name for yourselves. Who are some guys that I should be watching for besides yourself?
I kid you not, man. We have a lot of guys, but a guy that's sticking out to me and it stuck out in the NFL a lot. Shamarko Thomas, man, safety, nickel guy. Really one of the guys that came up when I first got here. I was like, man, one of the most aggressive guys and most outspoken guys on the team. Also, another guy that you need to be on the lookout for, a wide receiver here, Eli Rogers. Played a little bit with the Pittsburgh Steelers, I'm sure of, but. He's a baller too, though. We have a lot of good guys on this roster, man. DC is pretty loaded, and I'm just thankful to be a part of it. You
guys also have some good uniforms, man. I feel like you can swag those out pretty good.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with the all red, dog. Next week we playing in LA, so we wearing the ice and whites next week. So
I love the all white, the all whites.
Oh yeah, Chris, you know that. I got to go get me a.
Even I can look fast in the all whites. Even I can look fast in the all whites. That's why you got to have the fit right. Who's got the worst uniforms in the XFL? Now that we're on the topic, what could you not swag out?
The one, I kid you not to swag out almost anything. Okay. But the one uniform I think I cannot swag out is the Tampa Bay Vipers uniform. I kid you not, that lime green. I don't know how they're gonna do it for a home game. I don't know how they're gonna do it.
Either. Man. With the pirate ship up there, do they play at the Raymond James or they play somewhere else?
I think they play at Raymond James Stadium. I think they do. Yeah.
There's just snakes in the pirate house with the lime green. I don't know how that's gonna go.
With lime, I don't know how it's gonna work at all, bro.
But yesterday you're playing New York, and McGloin goes viral the quarterback there, right? Because he threw the coach under the bus. And it's not the first time, right or wrong, because as you know, as a player, sometimes it is the fucking coach's fault.
Right.
But what do you think about this new thing with the XFL where you come to the sidelines after a great play, or a bad play, or a bad performance, or a great performance? You could have a microphone in your face. Well, what's the protocol there? Do they ask you permission first?
Bro, literally no protocol. So what y'all getting is live and in fact, like right now, as soon as we get off the field, though. So whatever's going on in our mind, you about to get it.
Yeah.
And honestly, I like the idea, man, because it gives, like I say, football. Everybody knows football is a great game, and people love to see what the players are thinking and want to see what's going on behind that face mask. So to give us the opportunity to express ourselves after a big play and for the fans to get those emotions, dog. I tell you, it's doing a lot for the XFL and it's doing a lot for the game of football. You can see it.
I think it's great. You know, I think it's great as players. I mean, we've been mic'd up before. Certainly, I bet you were mic'd up at some point, whether it was in the league or at LSU. And you know, you have control over that. You know, at the end of the day, if you're mic'd up by your team, after the game, they run through it. If there's anything that makes you look bad, if you lose your cool, if you say something bad, they're going to cut it out. But you know, it's no holds barred with the sideline interview. So I think it's pretty cool. What rules do you see as a player? I know maybe not as many as a D lineman, but there's some position players out there who might be looking at these XFL rules and teammates of yours like, I have to adjust to this. Guys that played in the league, college football, even guys in Canada. What are the rules that you notice that guys are having the most problems adjusting to?
Honestly, the one thing, this is a little bit of a different rule for me, but my last week I was on the kickoff, and you know, not having that running start kind of messed with me a little bit because I like to have a full head of steam.
Yes,
so
I've seen it.
I think that rule honestly is beneficial for the game, but I do think it takes away from a lot of the big plays and things on special teams as well. So yeah, man, that's still a rule we're still trying to get adjusted to, but I think it's worked out well so far.
How about the one with the headsets? You got 6 guys on defense with the headsets, right?
With headset, yeah. So now we have So now it's actually 2 guys. So you have a mic backer and you have a safety with headset.
Okay, got you.
Yeah, man. So it's actually 2 guys you can have talk to on the field at the same time now, and the headsets don't cut off. You know, in the NFL, usually like 15 seconds into the play clock, you know, communication with coaches stop.
Yeah.
But here in the XFL, we get to talk to our coaches throughout the whole play call. So I mean, that's beneficial for us as players too, you know, because they can see something in the booth that we can't see right there.
And the play clock is shorter, yeah?
It is. It's actually 20 seconds. Like, I think making the game faster is better for the offense and also better for the defense. Because sometimes the offense can get caught off guard and, you know, give us a couple of free plays. But like I said, man, this game now it's for the fans, and a lot of guys are trying to get back into some different situations, but. Yeah, man. I think you know the speed of the game has been a big impact so far.
And then it's like, because I remember being in the league, at least when we were in New England, we were learning that defense, which is the playbook was, you know, like a stack of Bibles. You know,
what? Rocket science.
Yes, and you know, do they have to simplify defenses and schemes a little bit because of the quicker play clock? You know, on defense, you got to get your checks in, you got to get your calls in.
They do. So the playbooks do have some structure here, a little bit more structure, because, you know, you have to put some things in on a shorter period of time. So coaches aren't trying to confuse a lot of guys. You know, you do have different, different sets of guys. You got guys that are fresh out of college, guys that have been out of football for about 2, 3, or even 4 years, and guys that like myself that have, you know, I just left Canada. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm never out of the game too long. So coaches just try to keep it simple for us and not try to make anything difficult so we can play fast, man. But I think it's like I say, man. I think the XFL has been cool, and you can see the structure and the organization it has because it's been successful in a short amount of time. Man.
You mentioned having played in other leagues. You were in the AAF, and I know you know you don't like, you know, dragging or trashing other leagues or anything like that, but the AAF failed, and
right.
You know, I watched that and I'm thinking of guys who have invested all this time. Obviously, the way it ended, the chaos. Why is the XFL not like that? And give me an illustration of why the AAF was so hectic.
Man, first of all, man, Memphis, I love this city of Memphis, man. Shout out to the Memphis Express. That was my team in the AAF, and Mike Singletary was my head coach. But Man, the structure, like I said, I feel like it's the ownership. Vince McMahon has done a great job so far rebranding the XFL, and as he said himself, he's put over $500 million of his own earnings to make sure this league can run and stay up for at least 2 to 3 years. So at the end of the day, I just feel like this league has been structured better than the AAF. Not saying Charlie didn't do a great job of promoting and trying to do everything in his due diligence to make the AAF work, but Mr.
Just
Ebersol
less
just
money,
came
right?
short a little bit, man. Yeah, just lost money, man. Came short in a lot of the areas, man. A lot of the investors didn't. They backed out. Just didn't think the league was going to be good. And honestly, it showed a little bit. You know what I mean? The ratings went down. The stadium went. You could tell the difference from the XFL and the AAF. Man, look at the stadiums.
And a road
People
trip.
are
I mean,
engaged.
road trips are
Yeah,
probably different, right? I mean, for players on the team, like where you're eating, where you're staying.
everything. You know what I mean? And the cities too. The cities as well. When you look at football, the AAF, they weren't in real football cities. They
Right.
probably some college towns, but those cities weren't good for professional football, like Birmingham
Right.
and Memphis, just to name a few. You know what I mean? So, I mean, like I said, they probably could have done a little bit better and took their time with some things. I felt like the AAF rushed it a little bit. I
Yeah.
feel like the XFL actually took their time the past 2 years to make sure they had everything etched in stone, and now it's up and running, man.
What's the goal of most guys in that locker room? I know everybody's got different goals. They have different histories.
Yeah,
You've got guys like you who probably people look up to because you played about a half decade in the league and you're a star now. But
yeah.
there are guys that they might not have played in the league. There's guys that probably wish they were going to be back in the league soon. Or what's everybody's goal? Like when you talk to guys, like what's the end with this
Bro,
with this
I kid,
this
I
thing?
with the league. I kid you not, man. A lot of guys want to make this thing work. A lot of guys are, we've all been a part of the league. We've all been a part of different situations. Every professional company has politics. Everybody deals with things that they don't want to deal with. But when you look at the XFL, and they made it clear, Vince McMahon made it clear, he's not trying to be a little brother league. He's not trying to be a spring league. He wants it to be a league for the next 50, 100 plus years if he can make that happen. And I think he's on the right track this time around with a lot of the guys that they put in position as leadership. You got a couple of guys like myself and Cardell Jones, my teammate, who are a couple of big name guys who've been around, so fans could have a little bit of a relationship with the players. And I think, like I said, overall, if we do what we have to do the first year in this league, I think you'll see a lot more people trying to be a part of this league. So at the end of the day, man, like yesterday, the XFL has nothing to do with the NFL at all, but
Yeah.
NFL ESPN posted my interview
Right. Yeah.
with the airline. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yep.
So at the end of the day, pub is pub, and
Yep.
good football is good football. So, like I said, man, a lot of those guys, yeah, they want to, and it's a great opportunity for a lot of those guys to get back into the NFL who want to get back. But when opportunities happen like this, and you get guys who can stay home and play in front of family and make things a little bit more personal, I think that's a huge difference.
So I thought the biggest play you made yesterday actually was your post game interview when you addressed
Talk to me.
well, you kind of went back and forth. You were like, yeah, I'm not against reclining on airlines, and then how surprised were you that you were asked about the airline
Bro,
about
'cause I kid you not. Diana walked up to me, man. She was like, so Kimbo, I'm gonna ask you this question about the airline. Have you seen the video with the guy punching the back of the lady,
Yeah.
punching the seat?
Yeah.
I said, I saw it, but what does that have to do with me? She said, okay, people want to know, what do you feel about reclining?
That's a great
I
question.
said, man, it was a great question, bro. And I told her, I said, I got something for you. So let me muster something up right quick. And I went out there, and, I'm gonna be myself, Chris.
No, I
I'm
know.
gonna be slow motion, dog.
No, I know. No, so for the thing for me, so you know where I'm at. That guy was dead wrong, but I am not. I mean, that guy was overboard. That was fucked up. But
he was fucked up.
but
He was dead wrong.
but
He was.
don't recline.
That's it. Don't, especially when you see I'm on the last seat in the plane and I'm over 6 feet.
Yeah, and you're
That's
6'4", 270 pounds. I mean, my knee's already in the back of your chair.
Already, bro. Don't do it. They got to understand that, man. They really, and airplanes got to do better with that too. They don't give us leg space. They have to understand the normal size of a human is at least 6'2". So
Yes.
you got to give us some space, man.
Yeah. Well, hey, listen, I know you're about to be an even bigger star than you are now. You're going to have a great platform. I hope you keep
Nah,
on
man.
speaking for the voiceless here on the on the airline. The issue.
I got you, dog.
Have you done the Bud Light seltzer thing after the game? Have you
Bro,
chugged a
I was
seltzer?
supposed. I chugged one yesterday, man. It didn't catch me. I'm gonna get my shotgun on next week in L.A. So I'm holding me to that. I'm a
How was
shotgun
it?
one
How
next
was
week.
it?
Bro, it was awesome, bro. With the mango flavor
The
too. So yeah,
mango
shout out to
flavor.
Bud Light. Shout out to Bud Light, man.
I love it, dude. I love it.
Hell
Kimbo,
yeah.
Freak, Landlord, Anthony Johnson, one of my favorites, dude. Thank you so much for joining us, and I'll be looking for you the rest of the year. Real quick, who's the team to beat other than the DC Defenders before I let you go?
Amen. Much respect to this team. Much respect to the XFL Roughnecks, man, down there in Houston. Great
Roughnecks. Okay.
organization, great team.
Cool.
So, yeah, man, that's about it.
I'll be looking for that collision course, man, whenever you guys play each other. Best of luck,
You
man.
better
I'll talk
believe
to you
it.
soon. Thanks for coming on.
Always appreciate you, big brother. Thank you for having me,
See you,
dog.
dude. Cowboy Reed, we dial Kyle up. He's good. Welcoming me to the Green Light Podcast is my special in the field NASCAR correspondent. He's a giant man. He played 7 years in the NFL. Chicago Bears legend Kyle Long. He's also related to me, or I'm related to Kyle Long. Kyle, how you doing, man? How's the race going?
I'm doing awesome, man, and it's always nice to come on here and talk to you. Been hanging out with Dad all morning and afternoon. I think he's sick of me talking about NASCAR, but got a lot of rain delays, so we got time to explain what's going on here at the Daytona 500.
Yeah, so I turned it on, Kyle, because I wanted to know how much time was left in the NASCAR race, and I noticed that the cars were still driving around, and I thought maybe after that we could get you on air here, and then I realized that that's last year's race. Yeah, that's on TV right now.
Yeah, I mean, you're not the first to do that. You're not the first person to do that.
What's going on? Why did they quit racing today?
Well, Daytona is on the eastern seaboard there in Florida. I think they call that the Pacific side.
Subtropical.
As you know, Florida's got those flash pockets of rain, and that's what they've experienced. But this is a speed week, so there's been races all week, and the weather hasn't really changed much. It's been nice with pockets of rain, and hopefully we'll get to see this thing go green pretty soon.
Is green mean like they go, they get in the car, they drive left?
Well, what happens is they got to wait for this rain to stop, and then they got to bring out their $1 million equipment that drives the track, and it's 2.5 mile track, so that takes a while. And you don't want any moisture out there because these dudes are doing 202 miles an hour in a pack of 40 cars. So when I say go green, they're rolling out there, and everybody's getting a feel for the track. They do 2 pace laps, and then the third time around, the pace car leaves and the green flag waves. And that's when we get to see these cars get going again.
So do they have lights? Like, I'm serious now. Like, I haven't even turned it on. Okay, so what's going to happen now if it gets rain? Like, how many laps were they in?
So they were in about, I want to say 20 laps.
Oh boy, that's not good.
Something like that, but
that's not good.
You know what the good thing is about this, and I know it's not good probably for the fans that are trying to enjoy it and know how much time, as you said, is left in the NASCAR race. But for a lot of these drivers, especially the guys who are in their first Daytona 500, I mean, this is a spectacle. You got a lot of stuff going on pre-race. So if you get a chance to go run 20 laps and then come back to the pit and meet with your team, it's almost like that locker room meeting at halftime. What are the adjustments we have to make? How does the car feel? And, how do we feel moving forward with the car?
Now, I just went, again, I talked about it before you were on here. I mean, you are a NASCAR fan. You're not some poser fan. Like, you like to race in your iRacing car. You own an iRacing team?
Yeah, my buddy JR and I, we are co-owners of Mode Media House, which also has Mode Motorsports as a branch off of that, and we've enjoyed being part of the NASCAR iRacing series. Last year it was the Peak iRacing series. Coca-Cola took over the main sponsorship this year. Mode Motorsports, we've had a lot of fun doing it. I enjoy racing, and it's been something to fill my time when I'm outside the locker room.
So these video games actually they have motors?
In the wheel that I use, yeah, there is a motor, but
describe this apparatus. Describe this apparatus. You've always been a big gamer. And what came first, the gaming, racing, or like liking race cars, and then like saying, I think I'll try this out, like I'll get a big, expensive race car for my basement?
Well, you had two crazy younger brothers when you were growing up, and you were always smarter and a bit more tame. Howie and I always enjoyed redlining anything with an engine, crashing anything that could be crashed, breaking anything that could be broken, and I'm sure Dad can attest to that. But I will say, racing, I never knew I was into racing, like in terms of motorsport, but I always liked driving. I met Dale Jr. in 2003, I believe, at the Radio Shack 500. Dad grand marshaled it. And I met Dale Jr. early in his career. It was a couple years after his father passed at Daytona,
right,
the track where they're racing today. And I remember how cool he was. And it wasn't until later in life that I realized how much appreciation and respect I have for these drivers. And it's really a marvel to watch.
You would consider them athletes, yeah?
It's an argument that I have a lot, and I don't consider them athletes. I think they're extremely talented, and I think that they are. If they're driving on the interstate, they probably have to have another car traveling behind them so they can tow their nuts around. But
so, yeah, I like that.
I will say that I don't think they're athletes.
Now, I would push back on that, because anybody who has to piss themselves during a live performance is an athlete.
Hey, Chris, I've played World of Warcraft long enough to where I'd had to piss in a bottle below the desk as a younger.
Not to be too graphic here, but I've seen my fair share of off-color citrus coolers laying around the house next to the video games.
Well, I mean, you get the point. I guess they are athletes. They deal with extreme heat. They're using their bodies, so I guess they're meeting a lot of the criteria there. But
yeah, because I bet when you're steering, Kyle, don't you feel it like in your pecs and your biceps? You're straining, yeah. Because when I've played like Hydro Thunder, or I get in one of the NASCAR things at Dave & Buster's, I can really feel it after a little bit. If I'm not careful, I'll catch a little cramp.
Yeah, you got to be careful. Your ankle gets tired, especially at the short tracks when you're using the brake pedal a lot.
Yeah.
But you find that this restrictor plate racing, these guys are on it, pedal to the floor pretty much the entire time, and they have minimal wheel move, or their steering wheel's moving really minimally. And if they're not smooth on the wheel, it creates drag on the car, and they don't want to go slow, and that's what drag does.
So you also like golf, though, by the way. You've been getting into golf a lot lately, and you're very good at it. Surprise, surprise. Do you think golf is, those are athletes?
I absolutely think the golfers are athletes. And the fact they don't let them ride golf carts is even more indication that they are just elite
athletes. What do you like more, golf or racing? Those have been kind of your two, like in the last 5 years, your two big hobbies.
Well, luckily you don't have to marry either one. I think you can enjoy golf and enjoy motorsport. I feel like if I had to pick one, I'd probably go with motorsport, to be honest, because you can get everybody involved. Even if you want to just go watch and hang out, I feel like it's probably a more accepting crowd if you go to Talladega than if you went to Augusta.
It depends. Yeah.
I feel like I get along more with the mean populace.
The main populace. Got it. Yeah. So when it comes to NASCAR, there were two, as I was learning about it today on my laptop before I called you and doing some research on NASCAR, I noticed that the biggest race is at the beginning of the year. So your Super Bowl is the first race, yeah?
One.
Yeah. And then I also noticed that the cars drive backwards, counterclockwise, yeah?
They do travel counterclockwise around the track.
Is NASCAR trying to take our country backwards?
It's a very good question, Chris. And I think in a lot of other countries, they do go right around the ovals. I think in Australia, they do that. But, if you want to talk about progression as a nation, I don't know how Australia is faring in that competition, but they go right, we go left. So
yeah, I guess.
I think it's about where you're at.
Kyle, you got 40 racers out there today. I'm a big uniform guy. I know you appreciate uniforms as well. You talk about the paint jobs on these cars. I was just researching some of these paint jobs, and I have a few that stood out to me. Are there any that stand out to you for better or for worse out of this crop of drivers today?
Well, I think one thing that's really cool about the paint is the Wood Brothers paint, the 21 paint, and you can check it out on Google and maybe in post-production or something.
No, I'll do it. We do it right now. This is a high-tech studio.
So the Wood Brothers have the 21 font, and nobody else can use that. And it's a very cool font for the number, and it's unique to them. It's been around for a long time.
Oh, so this is very old school, yeah?
Yeah, it's old school. I think the 24 paint is beautiful. It's very similar to the Jeff Gordon paint that we grew up watching with the flames on the side. And, the Napa paint I'm watching now from last year's race is really cool as well. And there's a lot of great names that they're like ourselves, are carrying on the last name of their fathers in the sport. And there's a lot of classic throwback paints out there, and it's really cool.
Yeah, I noticed probably my favorite is Kevin Harvick. He's got a flaming Busch Light car, if I saw that correctly.
Yeah, and I have a lot of respect for Kevin Harvick, but he's kind of the heel in my mind.
Is he the heel?
So damn. And every time that he's not the heel, but in my mind he is, because everybody that I pick to win, he always ends up beating them. He's really good.
Well, I like his car here. Also, I noticed on the other end of thing, Brad Keselowski, he's got a very basic, boring-looking car. His car is Discount Tire is his sponsor?
Some of the coolest sponsors, you're amazed because you know how expensive it is to probably get on here with all the TV and all that stuff. But yeah, Brad Keselowski, I mean, people know him because he can drive his ass off. And
he sure can. I'm looking at a picture of this Joker. He just looks like all that he gives a fuck about is racing.
I'm sure they line his pockets pretty well too.
Yeah, I mean, but the car is kind of basic. I know how good he is. I like the Bubba Wallace car. It's got the Air Force teeth in the front.
You for that up. He in fact jumped out of a plane and landed in a parachute in the infield either today or yesterday. So that's quite a way to enter Daytona, and also to have his Air Force paint, the old Spitfire with the jaws and the teeth in the front, is pretty badass.
Seems like a me guy.
You know what? He's also a PC gamer, so I like him a lot.
I'm just joking. I'm sure he's really awesome. I'm sure he's really awesome. Now, I mean, I would argue though that if he doesn't win every race, that the other drivers don't support the troops.
Oh my gosh, Chris! Well, I think that's a hot take. That's our first hot take. Is there a hot take?
If somebody's got Air Force on the side of their fucking car, you let them win.
You know what? I think your logic is not flawed.
Hard to argue there. And then finally, I really like the one of the Bushes, the Monster Energy car. That's really badass. That looks like the heel car.
So Kurt Busch is a friggin' wheel man, and in recent history, there's three manufacturers. There's Toyota, Chevy, and Ford. The Toyotas in recent history have been in dominant fashion in terms of research and development. Their cars have just been flat out better. Everybody's supposed to have an even playing field, but Toyota's done it the right way. Kurt Busch's brother Kyle races and is the former champion of last year in a Toyota. Now Kurt drives a Chevy, and he's usually, last year, one of the only cars in the top 5, top 10 every race in a Chevy. It just is a testament to not only his skill, but also I think that badass paint job.
Yeah, it's a great paint job. Just don't get stuck with something like Kroger, like my man Steinhaus, like I was just Googling through.
Okay, you can't butcher Ricky Stenhouse's name in the Kroger hat, because Ricky Stenhouse has one of the most incredible mullets you'll ever see.
I'm sure he does. Let me check him out. But I just thought to myself, like, when I see the brand Kroger, I think about,
exceptional meat, a wonderful deli, and a tremendous salad bar.
Meat that might have been injected with some steroids. I'm not,
Stenhouse has been injected with steroids.
Yes, nothing. I mean, I'll shop at Kroger. I really like their produce, by the way. Favorite racer, Kyle? Who is your favorite racer?
My favorite racer or NASCAR driver?
Favorite NASCAR racer.
My favorite NASCAR driver.
No, they call them racers.
If I just pick one, I'll get butchered, but I really obviously enjoy Kyle Busch. We share a first name. He's the candy man, rowdy. He's a badass, and he's one of the most talented guys you'll see in a NASCAR. He's also one of the most polarizing guys. I'd liken him to Jay Cutler, extremely talented, but polarizing.
You can't be an asshole, it sounds like all that was like a way to compliment an asshole. He's an asshole, but he drives it.
You know what? I've met him, and he's actually a really good guy.
Yeah, but I mean, like a competitive asshole. I'm not saying he's a jerk.
Heel of NASCAR.
He's the heel.
He is the true heel of NASCAR.
But he drives the M&M's truck or car, so it makes no sense to me. So
the candy man. I mean, you know, you don't want to see the candy man behind you because he's going to end up in front of you, and if you don't let him, you're probably going to end up in the wall.
He seems like just out of a NASCAR movie badass. Kyle, would he win Mortal Kombat among all NASCAR racers?
No, I think Ryan Newman is up there on my list, and you can check out his stature. He's an absolute fire hydrant. Matt DiBenedetto, he's a CrossFitter, but I'm not sure if he
I like this Ryan Newman guy. I like this Ryan Newman guy. He is thick with 2 C's.
Yeah, Ryan Newman, when God made him, he gave him incredible skill in a race car, and he gave him no neck.
No neck, bro. He is just pile driving your ass by the karaoke stage, by the jukebox in the back of some dive bar.
Race and get into your window and let you know how he feels.
So do they fight these guys?
They do fight. I mean, my guy Kyle Busch has been his eye has been split open before in the pit. What we know as a fight is probably different from what goes on.
These are dust ups.
They scrap, and I think the better fights are between the pit crews because the guys who carry the tires are all former athletes.
Yes,
they're all real badass dudes, and I mean they're fighting behind the scenes. We watch the drivers slap each other, but these guys in the pit are really fighting.
So, Kyle, I was noticing when I was Googling, the Mortal Kombat, I wanted to see who the biggest drivers were. There's not a whole lot of big ones. The average height of a NASCAR driver, I believe, is 69 inches. You go about 75 to 76 inches. Is there hope for you to get in a NASCAR one day and drive? And does your height and your size prohibit that?
I was explaining to Dad, we were watching the coverage earlier, and we were commenting on how good of a job Michael Waltrip does in the pits. And we know DW, Darrell Waltrip, 3-time Cup champion. He's the big announcer it's his first year not in the booth. Michael's the guy in the pit. He talks to all the drivers. He's about 6'6".
Oh, really?
And, he made a living doing this.
Really?
So if he can fit, I know my skinny ass now can fit.
Yeah, you are skinny now, but back, a couple months ago, I don't know if you're getting in one of those NASCARs. Kyle, if you had to pick a car and a sponsor, what would it be and a number?
If I had to pick a car, like
you had don't wow me with the technical shit because I'm not going to know what you're talking about. I'll just sit here nodding my head. Just talk to me about what color your car is, who's your sponsor. Are you like Pepto-Bismol?
I'd probably be in the Gillette car or the Walgreens car, potentially Pepsi. That would be a cool car, I think. I think they'd have an awesome paint, and obviously they're a great sponsor.
I would be Kodiak. I missed that car.
The Kodiak paint was awesome. I'm not sure if they have any limitations on tobacco sponsors.
Because nobody chews tobacco in the NASCAR stands.
Well, I think the idea is that the marketing speaks for itself, and they don't need to be on cars anymore.
Yeah, I like that. So, Kyle, I guess before I let you go, because I've learned so much about NASCAR here, I noticed there's a guy named Jimmy Johnson's last year. Jimmy Johnson, who would he be in the NBA or the NFL? This is his retirement victory lap. Who's the, equal pro athlete in another sport?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, got you.
I would say Tom Brady.
Wow.
You look at his championships across a number of years. He strung together championships consecutively like nobody's business. Now the winningest NASCAR driver ever is the King, Petty, with 200 Cup wins, but Jimmy Johnson's got 7 titles.
Wow.
He's done so with class. He's done so without anything that has red flags. Nothing's jumped out at us, and he's been a great representative of NASCAR forever, and I think Tom Brady is probably an accurate
good comp there.
Comparison.
Can you tell our dad that we never used to walk on the NFL Fox set and make noise? Like, could he keep it down in the background? We're doing
it's all good, man. He's getting up there in years. Sometimes I think he
talks
forgets
louder than
where
he knows
is.
He's talking. Yeah. So what? Kyle, we talked about racing. While I have you here, there's a couple other things that jumped out, and I want to get you on the pod a lot more here with some regularity. I noticed this week that you're a recliner in all this, in the wake of the viral video and some rants online. I noticed that you recline your seat, and you are okay with people reclining their seats. Who hurt you?
Well, now that I get to make my opening statements, the thing about travel is it's very difficult for some folks to travel, whether it is because of children or financial means. There are certain things of decorum that you should stick to when you're traveling. And I feel like being the guy that is completely reclined in your chair is an absolute asshole move. But I'm not against the idea of reclining, but you have to have common sense. If I'm paying for a first-class seat, I know that there's room for the person in front of me to recline at a reasonable level, and I won't be obstructed. So why would my reclining affect the person behind me if I'm being considerate?
Well, Kyle, I would agree, and there's nuance here, as you mentioned. I mean, I'm not going to get mad at everybody who reclines. I'm largely team anti-recline. Now, if a huge dude is in front of me that looks like he's just, that guy that's walking, and we're both that guy at different times, you especially when you were about 330, but when you get on a plane and you're sitting back in coach because it's a regional jet or something, there's that guy that walks on the flight every time, and everybody as you walk by in the aisles like, not me, please don't sit next to me. If that guy's sitting in front of me, I'm not going to be mad at him for reclining. He's huge, right? Now, somebody small who's just, you can tell they're they're usually like some businessman that's, owns a small business or is a CEO or some, I don't know what they do. They usually order a bunch of booze, and they just, as soon as they can, they just jerk back and recline super hard, and it usually hits me right in the knees. And that's why I'm just kind of anti, in coach. Point taken in first class, but in coach, I think it's just kind of a no-no. And I heard people this week saying, well, first off, the guy in question in that viral video, we all agree is wrong.
Yeah, the guy's a dork. I would have slapped the shit out of him. I'm going to keep it real with you.
Yeah, you can keep it real, and they're going to put your big ass in those cuffs. It's going to be keeping it real goes wrong.
Head sitting across the aisle, I'm going to slap the hell out of him in my brain, and I'll just be able to go to sleep. But I think it's messed up that this is the culture we're in. Then people can't communicate in a healthy manner. Like if you're sitting in front of me and you recline, and you go back really far. I mean, is it gonna ruin my day? No. If it's an hour flight, whatever. I mean, if we're going to Hawaii, I might say something nicely. I don't have an issue with people reclining, but if you're in my comfort zone, bro, if you're obstructing my health,
yeah. I just feel like, if you're reclining and my knees are already on the seat in front of you, I'm not going to be shy about getting things out of my bag every 3 minutes. Like I'm going to shift a lot. I'm going to jerk a lot. And, you're not, I'm not going to be punching the back of your chair, but I am going to be kneeing the fuck out of your chair on a regular basis.
One thing to do, and I am guilty of this, I have had the person that leans back, and I haven't wanted to push their chair, but I've done one of the cardinal sins, which is put my big old cankle up there in their little window spot.
No, you did not.
I have. I've taken my shoe off, and I put my foot up there.
You put that fucking fleshy cinder block next to somebody's face.
Yeah, that's the move I made.
When did you do that?
Well, sometimes you don't know how you're going to respond to your back's against the wall, and in that situation, that's how I responded.
That is just that's hideous. That's a hideous. Visualization. I can't even, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it out of my head, but so that just goes to show everybody's got something. You were we were talking about this earlier in the week, and you were kind of taking a moral high ground of saying like, hey, you pay for the seat, you get to recline, don't complain, it's not a big deal, but you've actually stuck your hoof on somebody's shoulder.
I've never touched anybody with my foot, but I've definitely gotten in their space.
That's disgusting. I can't. And another thing is people are like, again, Why wouldn't you get to recline if the button's there? That's the argument people are making. Like, hey, listen, like, if it's available, you should be able to do it. Well, yeah, technically you can do it, but there's just some things you just don't do. I would liken it to, for people that take buses. If you're on a Quicks bus or Greyhound, I would think there's like an unwritten rule, like in baseball, you don't take a dump unless you're absolutely about to shit yourself. Like, you don't blow up the bus bathroom. And some people would say to that, well, if it's there, why not? Why can't you use it? I mean, I paid for my ticket, and I would say that there's.
I'll bring up another topic within the realm of travel, airplane travel, early flights, where I'm talking 6 a.m. flight, people are exhausted, everybody's got their windows down on the plane, so it's dark and people can sleep in once they're on the plane. The one person who is on the sun-facing side who leaves their window open across the aisle, and it's just like, take a look around and understand what everybody else is doing.
That's if you can sleep on a plane. I can't sleep on a plane.
Gosh, I feel bad for you sometimes.
Yeah, no, it's been a rough go. But I just want to clear that thing up. I think that, the unfortunate, here was the funny thing. Last week, I shared that clip where I kind of exaggerated that I'm going to kick your seat. I'm going to knee your seat. I'm going to inadvertently, quotation marks, shift your seat as I grab things out of my bag. We did the pod and answered a mailbag question, and the very next morning, that video went viral. And then our team here at Chalk posted our excerpt of the pod the same day, as if I was reacting to that to that instance. That guy was dead wrong, no doubt about it. But you will catch a knee or two from me if you do recline.
Yeah, his face pissed me off.
The only thing that didn't piss me off about the guy was he actually, and I had to watch it. Me and Meg were watching like 5 times to hear what he was saying. He said, "This is going to be a turbulent flight."
Yeah, I was trying to figure out what he was saying as well.
He said, "This is going to be a turbulent flight." Now the FBI is involved because the woman is saying that her chair was getting punched. Now, like, I understand that, everybody in your first reaction was I would slap the shit out of him. Like, yeah, maybe you would, maybe you wouldn't. I'm not trying to leave in cuffs, but if it were my wife,
going to home plate, talking to his teammates video more to try to decipher what was being said.
Yeah, no, I mean, I watched Altuve. Altuve was worried about his third nipple. Did you know?
They just said third nipple, bad tattoo. I've heard it all. Yeah, I can't wait to get to the bottom of that.
No, but the guy said that it was going to be a turbulent flight. That's what it was. Kyle, another thing real quick. I said this earlier. I said before I let you go, but you're just so fun to talk to, Kyle. You like Creed and Nickelback. You were tweeting about this earlier this week. What can you justify that?
My affinity to Nickelback probably is riding the coattails of my real fandom of Creed. I like Creed. The response I get to liking Creed is similar to those that step forward bravely and say they like Nickelback. And
it is similar.
I enjoy Nickelback.
What's your favorite Nickelback song? Don't tell me.
Saving Me.
Yeah, don't. What is it?
Saving Me.
SAVIN
apostrophe
me. Look at this photograph.
It's not wrong to like. It's not a bad thing.
No,
like.
We just have stigmatized the band so much, and I actually thought Creed got a bit of a bad rap. So I would agree with you. Horrible rap. Listen, and recently, just off of my appreciation for Creed, I bought this cologne called Creed. It smells fucking great. I don't think it's affiliated with the band, but it's a great scent.
I have it as well. It's the clear bottle with the black drippy top.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I walk around the house and spray it on my wife and sing Creed lyrics.
That's why you guys keep making babies.
Dad thinks it's funny.
Yeah, he did.
What an ultimate helicopter dad. He's just hovering over our interviews like, here, Dad, give us a break here.
In allegedly his house.
Kyle, get your own house, man. What the fuck? Kyle Long, appreciate you joining me. When I get back from Tanzania, we will make this a much more regular occurrence, and enjoy the rest of the NASCAR race. Hopefully the rain clears up and they can finish.
I would love nothing more than to join you more often, man. I hope you guys get to see this race go green. Thanks for having me.
I love it when they go green. All right, man, take it easy. So again, thanks for joining us. Again, one more reminder, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, we will be taking this show on the road to the bush. Green light in the bush. East Africa, Safari, Whitney Merciless, William Hayes, Myles Garrett, Ben Garland, Chris Draft, Greg Bell. Number of guys. Go do some content. Also, I vow to watch every Oscar-nominated, well, let's say every Oscar-winning film and do a pod about all that stuff in my 30-something hours of air travel that I've got going on next week. So check all that out. Again, we'll be back in studio, but in the meantime, we're going to be dropping some heat from East Africa. Thank y'all. Take care.